Welcome to Wire. Today we're talking about Mahathir's severe condemnation of the recent Malaysia-US reciprocal trade agreement.
And we really need to stress this isn't just, the usual political noise. When a figure like Tun Mahathir uses words like treason and starts talking about national sovereignty
Right.
in the context of a trade deal, it really changes the game. This is far beyond a simple policy disagreement.
The gravity is just immense. We're not talking about import-export numbers anymore. He's basically alleging that the government's decision isn't just a mistake, but an act that could really jeopardize our independence.
That's the absolute core of it. And so today, we're going to try and unpack what he's actually saying. What parts of this agreement does he think are so damaging, and what are the actual steps being taken now in response?
Okay, so let's get right into it. What is the number one issue Mahathir has with this agreement? The loss of sovereignty claim it's the foundation for everything else.
It is. His main argument is that this deal, and I'm quoting here, seriously harms national sovereignty. He even used this incredibly powerful image of handing the country over to the United States.
Handing the country over. I mean, that goes way beyond tariffs. What does he think the actual consequences are that would lead to a statement like that?
Well, the bottom line, in his view, is that Malaysia is effectively no longer a free country. The most chilling part of his claim is that every single foreign policy decision, everyone, whether it's a vote at the UN, a security pact in the region, anything, would first need to get a green light from the US.
So he's saying we've basically given away our veto power over our own foreign ministry. But how can a trade deal do that? I mean, trade deals are about goods and services, aren't they?
That's the key question, you see, and it's where these modern reciprocal agreements get really complex. Mahathir's critique seems to be aimed at clauses that go way beyond simple trade. He's hinting at things like regulatory alignment.
Okay, explain what that means for us.
So, when you agree to regulatory alignment, you're essentially promising that your domestic laws on everything from environmental standards to, say, intellectual property will match up with the partner country. So, for example, if we agree to align our IP laws with really strict U.S. standards, we might lose our ability to produce cheaper generic medicines down the line or to help our local tech companies.
So the sovereignty loss it's not an invasion. It's giving away our power to make our own rules in the future.
Precisely. It's a kind of policy capture, and Mahathir believes this locks us in, and if we ever try to change our laws to benefit Malaysia, a U.S. corporation could sue our government.
Sue the government?
Yes, in an international tribunal, completely outside our own court system. It's a common feature in these agreements. It essentially bypasses our national legal system.
And that must be why he's using such blunt language, calling it a government's foolish decision and extremely unfair. But if the risks are that big, why would anyone rush it?
Well, that's his other point. He points to other Southeast Asian countries who, they take years, sometimes decades, to go over these deals with a fine-tooth comb exactly because of these sovereignty issues. He's suggesting the government rush it for a quick diplomatic win.
A quick win that could have very long-term consequences.
But in those consequences, they link directly to the economy, directly to everyone's wallet.
Okay, so let's draw that line. How does something like perceived political risk from a trade deal affect a ringgit?
It's all about investor confidence. If global investors think that our government's hands are tied, or that our foreign policy is being influenced by another country, that creates a huge amount of uncertainty.
And uncertainty is bad for markets.
It's terrible for markets. They start demanding a higher risk premium to hold Malaysian assets, including our currency. Capital starts to flow out, and that puts direct downward pressure on the ringgit. Mahathir's point is that this trade-off sovereignty for some supposed economic gain is actually making our currency weaker in the long run.
A very clear connection from policy to our pockets. And I guess a disagreement this fundamental. It was always going to get explosive.
Which brings us right to the accusation of treason and the official actions now being set in motion.
Right. Let's move to that, because this has gone way past debate. Mahathir explicitly said the actions by Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim on this deal are equivalent to treason.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no higher charge in politics.
There isn't. But what's really happening now is that this isn't just talk anymore. It's turning into actual organized action. The Malay Unity Secretariat, a coalition of NGOs, is taking this very seriously.
What are they actually planning to do? What's the action plan?
They've been very public and very specific. This week, they are filing formal police reports. They're treating the signing of this agreement as a potential criminal act that needs to be investigated.
And they've named the police stations.
Exactly. The Dang Wani District Police Headquarters and the Wangsa Maju Police Station. This is not a vague threat. It's a coordinated legal push.
And I heard there's more to it than just police reports.
Oh, yes. To really underscore the constitutional side of their argument, they also plan to submit formal memorandums to the two highest authorities in the nation, the National Palace and the Council of Malay Rulers.
Bringing the rulers into it. That takes this from a political fight into a matter of national constitutional integrity. That is a huge step in our political landscape.
It is. It reframes the issue away from just being Mahathir versus Anwar. And this all leads to Mahathir's warning about how this should be investigated.
Right. He demanded an impartial investigation.
Yes, and he was very specific. He warned against what he sees as a misuse of power. He said that when a report like this is made, the police have a duty to investigate the subject of the complaint.
Meaning the trade deal and the government's actions.
Exactly. He warned them not to investigate the person who made the complaint. Not the whistleblower, not the NGOs.
That's a very pointed warning. He's basically daring them. If you investigate the people who filed the report, you prove my point that there's a climate of fear.
That's the political trap he's setting, yes. And it's the perfect transition to his wider claims about the whole domestic situation right now.
Which brings us to this idea of a climate of fear.
Yeah.
Mahathir's framing this whole trade deal fight inside this much bigger, darker picture.
He is. He's saying that this fear is real and it's stopping people, stopping the media from speaking freely. His claim is that if you criticize the government or you point out an error, you get investigated. Period.
And he used his own experience to back this up. I have to say, hearing that he's been summoned by the police 9 times already, that's a shocking number.
9 times for a former prime minister is. It's extraordinary. It paints a very clear picture of pressure. But he didn't stop there. He used another example that was, frankly, even more disturbing.
You're talking about the sports journalists.
Yes. He pointed to that case where a senior journalist reporting on a scandal involving naturalized players was physically attacked. He's connecting the dots, saying that if you expose wrongdoing, you face not just legal trouble, but physical danger.
Wow, an attack on a journalist. That really escalates things. She's saying the risk isn't just legal anymore, it's personal, it's physical.
And that brings it all full circle back to the police investigation. If the police go after the person making the complaint instead of the complaint itself, Mahathir says that is, by definition, an abuse of power.
And it creates an environment where nobody would dare report on anything, whether it's a bad trade deal or some other scandal.
Exactly. And the government's response to these claims of abuse is now almost as important as its defense of the trade agreement itself.
So we have to turn this to you, our listener, for a moment. When you hear claims that our foreign policy might now need a stamp of approval from the U.S., what does that make you think about Malaysia's economic independence in the long run?
At the end of the day, the question really is, what is the price of this deal? Mahathir believes that price is our nation's political soul, and that it's a gamble that could really hurt the ringgit.
So to pull it all together, a former prime minister is accusing the current government of treason over a trade deal. You have NGOs taking formal, legal, and constitutional action. And all of this is happening against a backdrop of claims about a climate of fear that's silencing dissent.
The entire dispute boils down to one thing. Is this agreement securing our economic future, or is it trading away our sovereignty and our political stability? It's a battle over what it means for Malaysia to be an independent nation.
So given how serious these accusations are, treason, abuse of power, and the very public actions being taken, what kind of detailed response does the government need to give? It's not enough to just talk about the deal anymore. They have to reassure the public about our nation's autonomy, and in doing so, reassure everyone about the stability of the ringgit. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.